Hey there, my name is Manuel. On today's episode of Heads Up for Hosers, we're going to be under pressure as we discuss the uses and benefits of high pressure hose. Now, you might not see high pressure hoses at work every day. Well, unless you work in our shop. But I'm sure most of you have passed by a construction site or two, and we all recognize the bright yellow machinery that can make the summer driving routes more than a little rough. But whether it's a loader, excavator, or a dozer, these heavy-duty pieces of equipment all have something in common: high-pressure hose assemblies. These hoses are frequently found in high-pressure hydraulic applications, like construction equipment where pressure surges aren't a risk. When you see an excavator digging a trench or a dump truck lifting its bucket, you're seeing a high-pressure hose in action. But what makes a high-pressure hose able to handle more pressure than other hoses on the market? Well, high-pressure hoses are often referred to as two-wire braid hose because they usually have a two-braid reinforcement of high tensile strength steel. This gives the hose a higher operating pressure but a larger bend radius than hoses with textile reinforcement. The operating pressure on these hoses varies, but it can be in excess of 10,000 psi. So, make sure you always know the correct operating pressure for your application before choosing a hose. After all, no one wants to deal with a burst hydraulic line. Yikes! Let's take a closer look at the reinforcement layer, and you'll see what I mean when I say these wire braids are responsible for the higher pressure ratings. A single wire braid hose is made up of a tube, a single layer of braided steel, and a cover. These three layers provide a higher pressure rating while allowing it to have a similar, or in some cases, even a smaller bend radius than a hose made with a textile braid. The cover of the single wire braided hose, depending on the material, can also provide better protection against external elements. When the single wire braid hose cannot provide a high enough PSI rating to be considered safe, a second layer of wire braiding is added. There are two reasons for this. The extra wire provides a higher working pressure, and the interior braid is still protected if the hose cover is damaged, which may cause the exterior braid to rust and fail. This is an important consideration for hoses that are subject to external damage and then left out in the weather. A double wire braid hydraulic hose is made up of an inner tube, two wire braid reinforcements separated by a synthetic rubber layer and an outer cover. Double wire braids also provide extra protection against heat. However, braided hose is not recommended for applications where high pressure pulses are a consideration. This is where it becomes important to know the difference between dynamic and static pressure. A dynamic pressure system is one that can experience fluctuations, temperature changes, and shocks or pulses, while a static pressure system has a constant level of pressure, with no pulses or temperature changes involved. When working with a dynamic pressure system, you want to be sure that your hose has a working pressure equal to or greater than both the working and impulse pressures to account for any pressure spikes, vibrations, and shock. A good rule of thumb when calculating working pressure is to identify the highest pressure and match that to the lowest pressure component, whether that is your hose, fittings, or couplers. Here at Gregg's, we've got everything to meet your high pressure hose assembly needs. Starting with the FC579 series double wire braid hose. This heavy duty hose can handle up to 10,000 psi, which makes it perfect for its designed application: hydraulic jacking. The Aeroquip patented DuraTough cover means that this hose is more abrasion resistant than those with traditional rubber covers. Compatible with both petroleum and water-based fluids. This hose has an operating temperature that ranges from -40 degrees to 100 degrees Celsius. The bruiser hose is for those tough jobs where abrasion is less of a risk and more of a sure thing. This 2-wire braid hose offers 4,000 psi of operating pressure. The excellent abrasion resistance is thanks to the specialized bruiser cover, which offers unmatched abrasion, chemical, and environmental protection. This means that even if your hose is exposed to the harshest of working conditions, it's sure to hold up and get the job done. In fact, this hose is so tough, it promises to meet or exceed SAE 100R19. But what is SAE and why does it matter? Well, SAE stands for the Society of Automotive Engineers and provides general, dimensional, and performance specifications for the most common hoses used in hydraulic systems. These ratings and specifications are based on the construction technique and material of the hose, along with aspects such as size, temperature, fluid type, and pressure. Now, if you're looking for a hose that really goes above and beyond the SAE standards, look no further than the GH195 series. The AQP Matchmate Blue Premium High Temperature Hose meets or exceeds all these standards. This heavy-duty hose, with its AQP elastomer tube and cover, is ideal for petroleum and fire-resistant hydraulic fluids, as well as fuel and lubricating systems, all the way up to 150 degrees Celsius. These next 3 hoses from our catalog really take quality to a whole new level. Aeroquip is dedicated to quality. They design, engineer, manufacture, and test all their own hoses and fittings. They also have something called the Triple Crown Advantage. The Triple Crown Advantage, indicated by the crown icon on the lay line, means that this hose is made to withstand higher pressures and temperatures, exceed the demands of current and future hydraulic systems, and have a longer than average working life. Let's start by taking a look at the GH120 series. This is the Matchmate Ice Cold Temperature Application Hose, which meets both SAE 100R16 and SAE 100R 2AT standards. With an Aeroquip brand exclusive low temperature compound tube and cover, a double wire braid reinforcement, and a DuraTough synthetic rubber cover, this hose is ideal for low temperature flexing and hydraulic system service. In frigid climates, ranging from -57 to 100 degrees Celsius, the Ice Hose series is most often used on construction equipment and other mobile applications that is regularly subjected to our harsh sub-zero Canadian temperatures. Next up is the GH781 series Matchmate Global Hose. This hose meets all these specifications, also meeting or exceeding EN requirements at 1/2 SAE bend radius. With its synthetic rubber tube, double wire braid reinforcement, and DuraTough synthetic rubber cover, this hose is often used for general industrial service. Rounding out the Triple Crown team is the GH793 series, Matchmate Global Hose. Much like the 781, this hose has a synthetic rubber tube, a double wire braid reinforcement, and DuraTough synthetic rubber cover. However, the GH793 is a step above by meeting or exceeding the following standards. Both the 781 and GH793 are perfect for temperatures ranging from -40 to 127 degrees Celsius. Now, one thing that all these hoses have in common is that they are all approved by the MSHA. The MSHA is the Mine Safety and Health Administration from the US Department of Labor. They develop and enforce health and safety regulations and evaluate and test equipment, instruments, and materials for compliance. Approval from the MSHA is internationally recognized, which means these tough hoses are held to a high level of standard. Phew! Doesn't it feel great knowing all that pressure is under control with the proper hose in place? If you have any questions, feel free to give us a call or drop by our website at greggdistributors.ca. Again, I'm Manuel, and thanks for joining me on another episode of Heads Up for Hosers. And thanks for keeping it Canadian.